Right, here is the 2018 J276 exam, which is quite similar to our course, so we can take some of the algorithm and coding questions out of them. So here we have an array that has 4 boxes. It's got Kirsty in the first box, which is box 0. One has got one called homework forgotten. This, which if we read the question in full on the paper, would tell us it's the points they've earned. And this is whether a letter has been sent home, and it can be true or false. Notice they're actually all strings. Okay, that's not Boolean. That's not an integer. It's a string representation of it. Doesn't really matter in this. Well, it does, because we need to put a quote around the word false. So we need to check if the letter has been sent home or not, and that is in box 0, 1, 2, 3. So if student data 3, which is this one, 0, 1, 2, 3, is equal to, I'm going to do true, then we print sent, else we print not sent. Very easy mark there. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe how easy that is for 4 marks, but there you go. But maybe you wouldn't have got it if we hadn't gone through the 0, 1, 2, 3 bit, so that's good. Okay, so give me the first 3 numbers to be printed by this algorithm. Okay, so this algorithm is going to go, it's a loop inside a loop, and kids get really confused by this, but what you got to think is, in the first whole loop, k is going to be 1, and then p will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but k will the whole time will stay 1. Then k will go to 2, and p will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And k will go 3, and p will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, if you can imagine it here, it's quite hard to see. So we've got k, that can be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, while p goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Because p loop is in, that loop will finish before we go on to the next one down here. Now in pseudocode, you do go up to the last number. Okay? So the first one will be print k plus p. Well, that'll be the first k plus p, then second, then third. As you can see, that is 2, 3, and 4. That is what will be printed there. That's fine. How many times will line 3 be executed? Well, this is quite simple math. If p is going 5 times and k is going 3 times, then we have to do 3 times 5 because this loop is inside this loop. So k will be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. K will be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. K will be 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is simply 15. Now, there are 3 basic programming constructs. There's sequence, which means that things run in sequence. So obviously that's been used because sequence is in every program. And then there are 2, selection or iteration. Iteration means loops, so obviously it's that one. And selection would be an if or a switch statement. Okay, but here it's sequence and iteration because we've got loops. Right, so a library gives each book a code made from the first 3 letters of the book title in uppercase, followed by the last 2 digits of the book, the year was published. Complete the following pseudocode for the function. Okay, so a lot of kids did this terribly, but think about it. What does it need? It needs the title and the year the book was published, which is obviously called year. So, year, because in goes title, in goes year. Now, substring works like this, which we have been through, but it's the starting position of the letter, but this actually tells you, okay? Because if you think a year, you can actually work out how a substring works, because we know that Poetry of War, published in 2012, gets POE 12. And so if you got here, you know the year part, which is part B, which is this part, gets from 2012, it gets 12. And you know that substring is 2 and 2. So from that, you can denote that it's likely that substring works by doing position. So we start on position 2, and we want 2 characters. So substring, the first one is which character do you start on, and the second one is how many characters. So here, because we want the first characters, we start on substring 0, the first character, and we want 3 characters, so we type 3 in there. Now here, because it's a function, it's going to return the answer. So we simply return part A dot upper, which will make it uppercase, plus part B. Okay, so this is a tricky one because it's just tricky. So in pseudocode, write an algorithm that does the following. It inputs the title and year of the book from the user. uses the library code function above to work out the book code, and then permanently stores the new book code to a text file called bookcodes.txt. Right, so here is what we do. So let's input the title and year of the book. So title equals input, enter title. Now we don't have to worry about int and all that sort of stuff in here. But even so, if we did, we actually want the year as a string because we're going to use string manipulation with substring to get the last two letters. So we want year to be a string. So we're going to enter it in. So don't be putting int here. Then we need to get the book code by using this function. So we go book code equals library code, and we send in the title and the year. That's going to return to us the first three letters and the last code. And now we've got to write it to the text file. Now it doesn't tell us if we have to append it to the end or make a new one. So I'm just going to assume we make a new one. So f equals file.open bookcodes.txt for writing. So we're going to write to it. Now, could just do f equals file open. Then we're going to write down the line. So f dot write line, and then I'm going to write the code, book code. And there are many ways to write this. I'm actually going to look, and then f dot close to close the file. I've opened a file up for writing, so we can write to it. I've written the text file, the code, which I got from there, and then I've closed it. And that should get you the marks. You can do this in quite a few ways. I'll actually look at the mark scheme in a second, see how they've done it. Quick. They haven't even bothered doing as for writing. So do you know what? I'm going to take that out because it's more annoying to worry about it. To teach people, if they're not going to bother, then we won't bother. So yeah, there you go. That would work. So open it up, file to open. Then I write it and then I close it. Yeah, that's even better. Because it might be something like another question. I'm actually going to do it. I'll actually do this here. Could be they ask you to do something like read a file line by line and add a 1 at the end. I think it's stupid like that. They do say they did this in one of the exams. They word it differently. The file is called titles.txt. So you've got to open up the line. Read a file called first.txt. Line and add a 1 at the end. Then write to a file called titles, right? So you've got to read from one file, add a 1 on it, and write to the other. So strange, but they did do this, right? So, I mean, it's a tricky one, and I don't like it because it's a bit too complicated. But anyway, let's actually answer it so you can see what would happen. So what we have to do is we have to do like f equals file.open first.txt. Right? Then I'll do G. G equals file.open titles.txt. And then you do while true, we loop. Go loop. Go line equals f.readLine plus 1. So I'm adding the 1 to the end of it. I'm reading the line. So line is equal to f.readLine. So read the line from there. Then g.writeLine line. Okay? Now you've got to do this towards the end of the file. This would work, but it would go on forever. It would crash because when there's run out of lines, probably should put read line like that, but it doesn't really matter, I don't think. Then you go if f.end of file. So if at the end of the file, break. I'll quit the loop. Now this is a really weird question, so I hope you don't get anything about files because it's really annoying. But I thought I'd put it in there so if the more advanced people can at least look at it. Yeah, that's basically the sort of pseudocode you could write to get full marks for that question. Yeah. Right, anyway, so this one here, using pseudocode, write an algorithm that will use a count-controlled loop to print out the numbers 1 to 10 in ascending order. So, okay, for I in range 10. Rubbish, you could put 1 comma 11. Now, if you want, now this is where I get a bit worried if it says we have to use pseudocode. I'm going to check the mark scheme if it says you have to use pseudocode. That does, yeah. It may not be function in specific language. Yeah, it works fine. Yeah, you can use Python. So for I in range 1 comma 11, I mean, or you could just do 10 and do I plus 1 because you know that's going to go 0 to 9. Right, that's going to go 0 to 9 because it does 0. And then just print I plus 1. I mean, that is just ridiculous. That is actually a question for 3 marks. So there you go. That's that one. The alternative would have been to have gone for I in range 1 comma 11 because it goes 1 higher. Then print I. Either of those are good. Last but not least, we've done this one actually, so I'll just rush through this. But because you're going to basically they're going to count votes until we type end and print out the votes and the total number of votes overall, which is not difficult, right? But make sure you note that because people might forget the total number of votes and lose a mark. So because we're keeping track of 3 votes, we need vote A equals 0. I'm just going to call it A because I'm lazy. B equals 0, C equals 0. You do a while true. That's our method that we use in our class because it's easier. We get someone to enter a vote. Vote equals input. Enter A or B or C. Okay. If vote is equal to A equals A plus 1. If vote is equal to B equals B plus 1. C equals C plus 1. And if it's equal to end, and then, yeah, that's it. And then it's going to print out the votes. So, I mean, it's just not too. I'll just do it. It says print out the total number of votes. So, add A, B, and C together. There's been that so many votes there are, and so that would be perfect. Just checking there. Yeah, there we go. There you go. That's it. Okay, good luck.